Hello there, friends. I am Melissa, for those of you that are new with me today, and it's really good to see you guys today. I'm going to talk a little fast, I think, in this video. Try to sum this one up a little bit faster than my other ones, but today I just wanted to talk about depression with the teenagers. And yes, my family is grieving. You know, we are grieving, and I am a grieving mother and a grieving daughter. And 4.5 years ago, we buried our two youngest children, Noah and Sophia. And we still have a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old at home. And I have just been really feeling led by the Lord to share our experiences, share what I have discovered about our grief and about our feelings and emotions. And my last video, I was talking about how death impacts the teenager's physical health. And that, and so with our physical health also comes depression, you know, and depression, most teenagers do experience that in grief. I mean, shoot, most of us adults are experiencing depression in our grief. A lot of teenagers think, whatever, I can't afford to care anymore. You know, they do. And it can be very uncomfortable and frustrating, this depression and grief. Forgive me, friends, I do have my notes, so try not to look down too much, but yep, I got them. So, and you know, we all understand, or maybe we know, but it is difficult to grasp, I think, the significance of how our teenagers deal with depression, you know, is very important. But we're all pretty broken here and hurting and searching for a lot of answers that we're not getting. So that makes it hard. It makes it very hard, friends. I'm just going to jump right in and start reading from the grieving teenager's heart. Some of the things that go in their mind that they think about in their depression that I wrote down from some teenagers. And I do find it helpful to know what's in their minds, to give us a little window into their soul, you know, kind of a thing. But one teenager says, I'm tired of all this. My heart is exhausted. I'm worn out. I'm in a daze. I don't feel like much of anything anymore. I can really relate to that one. Maybe I felt too much. Maybe I don't want to handle it anymore. People don't care. At least they don't seem to. They're also self-absorbed. They don't want to be bothered. And I don't want to be a downer. Everyone else is in one place and I'm in another. I can't seem to connect. I feel lonely. Oh, I can so relate to that one. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that thought. Another thought, whatever. Another thought, I don't care anymore. Maybe I've cared too much before. My battery is on low, maybe even dead. I drag around from one thing to the next, but I'm not really there. I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am. I can definitely relate to that one. Can you guys relate to any of these thoughts from these teenagers? You know, I know as adults, we think our thoughts and minds are so elevated above children and teens, but they're not. You know, I mean, like, yes, but you know what I mean? Like, not, you know, they just say it a lot in simpler terms, but yeah, our feelings are pretty similar. Another thought a teenager had is, I don't feel like I know much of anything at all. Another thought, whatever. Those two teenagers right there, they're like, whatever. Another thought, I can't afford to care anymore. I have to survive. Why did you have to go? Why does anyone have to go? Why do people have to die? Everyone I love and care about will die and leave. And then I'll die. Or maybe I'll die first. How depressing. Why bother with anything? What's the point of all this? Another thought, nope, I can't afford to care. Another thought, whatever. Another thought, you're dead. I'll die. Everyone will die. So what's the point? Another thought, whatever. I don't care anymore. I'm not angry, just empty. Whatever this takes, I haven't got it. I don't have any fight left. How do you fight death anyhow? I can relate to that one too, friends. Yeah, I sure can. You know, sometimes there's been many days recently where I'm not angry, just empty. You know, like I feel like at times I have run out of anger with Malik, you know, and even anger at the world, and just left empty feeling. Another thought, you can't fight death. It's coming for everyone, for me. Another thought, I'm morbid today. The world looks pretty dark right now. Another thought, I have trouble cracking a smile. My capacity to fake it is weakening. Yeah, I can relate to that. I wish I could just say what I'm thinking. Wouldn't it be easier if we all did that? But no, that wouldn't be acceptable. We have to hide it to make it around here. Show up, fit in, be nice. Do what you're told, don't feel, muck it through life and then die. When? Where? How? Who knows? You're here, then you're gone. Poof. What's the point? Do we have to make up a reason to live? Do we all have to justify our existence somehow? For what? Why? Oh, some of these are some pretty big questions from teenagers going around in their minds. Like, I don't have the answer for a lot of these. Like, it's hard. It's challenging. It is so challenging. Another thought, you died, I'm still here. Why not me? Or maybe I'm next. Another thought, whatever. Yeah, you guys, oh man, the death of Noah and Sophia has raised really, really deeply hard questions for our teenagers. It has, you know, and they were disturbing questions even, you know, within our teenagers' hearts, you know, and the most prevalent and powerful question is, why? Why? You know, why Noah? Why Sophia? Why me? Why us? Why now? Why Malik? Why did he? Why did they? Why didn't they? Why did I? Why didn't I? Why? Why? It is, friends. It is. And it seems to be the catch-all ultimate question, isn't it? It's like behind all the others. And it just keeps popping up. And it circles back around again and again and again. And I've got a pretty good feeling it's going to keep circling around my whole earthly life. Because Noah and Sophia are gone. Okay? And Malik is even in prison. He's gone from us as well on a 96-year sentence. That young man will die in prison, you know, most likely. You know, they're gone. We have a life web, you know, and all the strands are connected together with us and our families and friends and all these things in our life, right? Well, our life, the strands of our life web have been forcefully severed. So forcefully severed from us. And the shock, the sadness, the anger, the confusion, the anxiety, it wears these teenagers down. It does, friends. It does. Grief takes its toll on them. They're not immune from that. You know, it's like their fuel gauge is on empty. Right? They sigh, their shoulders slump, their feelers are all shut down, they go internal, you know, and they begin wondering about a lot of things, many, many things they do. They do, right along with us. And the nonstop questioning, that shit is exhausting. That shit is so exhausting, nonstop questioning in your mind and in your heart and soul. And then finally, we've got nothing left. So we power down, we shut off, and then we quit. Right? Yeah, we've seen that. And then that's where that phrase or that word, whatever. I mean, teenagers say that word a lot anyways. I mean, it's like a regular part of their vocabulary, and teenagers, they can fake a lack of interest about things that they consider unreasonable, painful, or scary, right? But inside, however, most teenagers really do care. They do. And ours certainly do, and deeply. It matters greatly to these teenagers what happens, how it happens, when it happens, and to whom it happens to. I think we just get deceived so much because they have that whatever attitude so much of the time. But the teens do deeply care. Nobody wants strands of their life web severed. They don't. And the teenagers reason, like in their mind sometimes they'll reason, oh, that kind of tragic, bad stuff, that happens to other people. That happens to other people. So when it happens to them, that shit is terrifying and shocking. Yeah, it is. And it just feels unfair, unjust, and mean. So we've got questions all over again, all around, all over, and the teenagers, their level of anxiety or dread, it rises and rises. Yeah. But I definitely think and feel, and, depression, it's common and natural, and grief. It is. And that probably goes without saying, right? And we're full of sadness. I mean, like full of it. It's like rain down upon us, just pouring the sadness for this whole circumstance. And every day to face life without Noah and Sophia, and even Malik. Motivation disappears from the teenagers, and the teens withdraw and they hide a little more than usual. And we've seen that, and they can feel hopeless and meaningless, right? And then they have a lot of trouble even getting out of bed. The color has faded from their life, Yeah, that's the depression, and that's what we saw, and with our teens, and and the Lord reminded me, Melissa, you can make a difference. You can make a difference even in my brokenness and my questions all around. I don't have to exclude my teenagers from this, and I try my damnedest to be really honest with them. And when I don't have an answer, I don't have an answer. And the Lord reminded me, Melissa, this is natural for this fallen body, for this whole thing. This is depressing as hell. This is very depressing to have our two youngest children murdered by their oldest brother. And then my husband stabbed in his neck. I mean, that is very, very depressing. So hell yeah, that is I think that's extremely natural for our family to experience this. And any family who's had to go through a traumatic death. And death, period. So, I really resist that from society and others that want to put a timeline on either my teenagers' depression or our depression. I believe the Lord has us exactly where He wants us. And He is taking excellent care of our feelings and our heart and the comforting of our hearts and all these morbid questions. And the meaning of life type questions. A sense of emptiness even is around these teenagers, So me and my husband, we have learned to be more intentional about getting these teenagers out among people, whether it's to a movie, a restaurant, to the grocery store, to church, definitely make sure they stay in school. They go to the mall together, these two, they'll do things together. And that's a really beautiful blessing, and that these two have got a good friendship, and the 18-year-old drives and has his own car. And so they can go do things together without mom and dad. And that's pretty awesome too. And they go to the movies together. They even go eat together at restaurants. They go shopping. They do things together. And that's a wonderful, wonderful blessing, because, like my 18-year-old said, who else is there that knows but us, that really, really knows? And then each of us, even within our own house, have a very difficult time at times, even understanding what each other are feeling and going through, even though we experience this awful, terrifying situation together. Does that make sense? Like, and for example, like I said in one of my other videos, COVID wasn't good for our 16-year-old. To be isolated, not being in school, at home on a laptop every day, that wasn't good. That increased her depression much so, and it was a really hard season for our family. And I understand it was hard for many others too. And it just made it extra challenging for our family in heavy grief to be so isolated. Some days we crave the isolation and need it. And then many days where it's not good for us always. But then we get around people and you get around that stuff and you're just like, what was I thinking? I don't even want to be here anymore. And you feel so overwhelmed, and then you leave and you go back home. So yeah, that's the way it is. The Lord reminded me, though, Melissa, to reach out and help someone else. There's some days and times where the Lord really put somebody heavy on my mind. And that has been very helpful for me to go serve somebody else, to give of my time and my love to someone else, help think about other people, and also talking to someone I trust, about how I'm feeling and thinking. And if the teenager can have somebody that they can trust, that they can talk to, a parent, teacher, coach, pastor, friend, someone that they can really trust, that they can talk to that person about how they're feeling and what they're feeling, Writing seems to be helpful for some people. It is for me. I do a lot of writing in journals, and to try to get what's going on inside of me out down on paper is helpful. It helps me express my emotions and feelings, and then to read them back. It's not, not everybody's cup of tea, but, just consistently, I think the Lord was reminding me just to take some actions. Consistently taking simple actions can help with the depression over time. And so we've seen that. The consistent, simple actions of checking in. Like I send my daughter a text message once a day, sometimes twice, throughout her school day. I don't just wait till she gets home to see her and talk to her. And same with my son too. I will send them a message during the day, mid-morning, early afternoon, say, how's your day going? Check in on them, hear from them, and they've gotten used to that. And my daughter's been able to learn to trust that she can be honest in those moments and tell me, I'm having a bad day. It's not going good at all right now, Mom. Can I come home? Or it's just not going good. Sometimes she just needs a little encouragement through the phone, and she's able to finish out her day. Other days I go get her and let her come home, And like I noticed my daughter a couple days ago came to me and said, Mom, I think I do want to do counseling. I do. She goes, I thought I could handle these things on my own, but I can't. That's a direct answer to prayer. And I've had to wait for her to realize that moment, even though me as an adult parent, yeah, duh, you need counseling. That's obvious. But you can never force anyone into a counselor's office. We've already tried that, and we weren't successful. Hannah wasn't successful, so we needed to allow her to be it. Now, check this out, though. Just yesterday, she says, oh, nope, I don't need that anymore, Mom. She's like, oh, I'm good. But literally 3 days before that, she did. So yes, that's teens. That is the teenager, right? So now I went to God, and now I'm like, God, what do I do? Please give me wisdom, Lord. Like I depend on God to help me be a decent mother, a good mother, a God-fearing mother. Because you leave me to myself and it's not good. It's not. And I don't make good decisions left to myself. Like I am willing, the spirit is willing, but damn it, my flesh doesn't obey very well at times, and I'm really in a hard season of that discipline with the Lord. And so yeah, I cling to him. I really cling to the Lord. I depend on Jesus to direct my parenting, to give me wisdom, and then to love these kids with his love, for his grace to flow through me, his compassion and kindness to flow through me and to them, because I just feel like I don't have any more left to give to people, But I want to be able to give that to my teens and my husband at home and my family and friends, And yeah, I think I kind of got off topic there a little bit, but, so yeah. And I think common sense would say, no, Melissa, you just keep going through that, even though she came back and said, I don't need counseling anymore. You still set that up. So teenagers are real extreme guys. It's like all or nothing with them. When they get an idea of something, they go all full for it, or it's nothing. So sometimes we have to really jump on that opportunity when they're saying something, because they got fickle minds, boy, and it'll change in a 24, 48, 72-hour time span. Nope. So I'm going to probably very well just still jump on it. I've already made a few phone calls and, yeah, try to coax her back into it, We just need to really remind yourself, you guys, though, again, like I was just saying, the best thing that we can do for our teenagers is to love them. Seriously, just meet them where they are and be with them in their stuff. We just need to, whatever that means for you in your personal relationship with the teenager, But again, words are overrated. Okay, they're overrated. Teenagers don't need speeches or lectures. The Lord told me, Melissa, you got to learn to restrain yourself, to be quiet and listen. I felt that from the Lord, listen past my teenagers' words and try to hear their hearts. Okay? Because grief is scary for us, and the depression is scary. The depression is scary. The symptoms that come along with depression can be scary for a family. Last week, my son came to me and he wanted to talk to me and he wanted to pour his heart out to me. And he did. And about 40 minutes later, I was speaking, talking, looked at him. It's just the look on his face. And I just stopped and we both just started to laugh. And I said, oh my gosh, I went off on a tangent, didn't I? Like I then went down some rabbit hole, wasn't even on what the subject was anymore. And because I'm famous for that. I talk too much. I will give a good speech and a lecture and a heartbeat. And yeah, so that's me. And the Lord is working with me on that. He's speaking that to me pretty clearly, about my teenagers don't need speeches and lectures. And that I can be confident in the seeds that we have planted in these teenagers as children. That even though it may not look like we planted much of anything right now, we know we did, and we can trust that God will have his way with these teenagers in their depression, in their grief. And we want to try to confront this depression. Okay, no, this is how we feel. Like when they come to us, we want to confront it, right? And just drive it far from their minds and their lives. We don't want our teenagers experiencing this. Right? So we want them to be our version of healthy, happy, and productive, right? But we really need to remember that right now is not forever. It's not. So some of the ways that we confront their depression or in the ways that we try to drive it out are so unhealthy, and it's not forever. And, right now in the present, our teenagers are hurting. So they feel some real deep and scary things. So we support them best by being safe and dependable to them. They need constance. Teenagers do, enter their world and provide listening ears, open hearts, right? An unwavering sport, unwavering support. And some healthy boundaries are always good too. But yeah, unwavering support for their depression. Enter their world, guard our own hearts too at the same time and be aware of our own triggers. Because damn it, it's dealing with some of these teenagers and their depression, their fears. It opens up a Pandora box of our own. It does. I've noticed that. So when we see our teenagers in distress as their parents, we just want to rescue, fix, and deliver them. Most definitely we do. And so we naturally want them safe and healthy and happy and vibrantly alive, not walking around carrying a coffin over their bodies, But we want them to be free to pursue their dreams, don't we? But check this out. We so often naturally confuse our dreams for them, We naturally often confuse our dreams for them. So we want them to be successful, respectful, and wise, right? We want them to know and love the Lord Jesus, follow God. We want these things. Well, check it out. Teenagers, they're very well aware of these expectations too. Spoken or not, they're very well aware of them. They don't like disappointing people. They don't like disappointing the adults in their lives that they love and respect. They don't. No matter how they act, deep down, most of them want to please their parents and adults, and almost every teen I've talked to fears being a disappointment to those around them. Our teenagers have told us that themselves. Yeah. So we need to be aware of our own fears, and we need to process our fears as best as we can, and don't put our stuff on them. I got to handle my own issues well, and then I'll be able to walk with my teenagers and theirs, and don't try to do this alone anymore. I first and foremost, I went to God and I involved God, and I was like, God, I need you. And He has so lovingly brought some good, safe people into our lives. We need a team. The parents need a team, right? Well, so do the teenagers. They need one too. They need family and friends and safe people. They're teachers, school counselors, coaches, whatever, physicians, grief counselors, God, ministers, pastors, they need them too. So whatever's fits best for you and your family. But yeah, the Lord told me I needed to observe and I needed to listen. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm observing their behavior, trying to listen to them more, listen past their words into their heart, and loving them as best as I can, watching out and for these deeper warning signs too, that it could be a lot more deeper, real, like real chronic, like they literally physically don't get out of bed, they isolate from people and activities completely, falling into addiction, self-medicating behavior. They're non-functional when it comes to daily life, to the point where they ain't even brushing their teeth. They have thoughts of harming themselves or do begin cutting themselves and harming themselves. You got to get professional help immediately. And so I'm always kind of on guard for those and watching out for those and always checking in with these guys because we had a very similar scare 2 years ago. And, yeah, my heart is heavy for my teenagers. Yeah. So we got to make the contact with these people that we get help from and get their input, and if the teenager's willing to talk to them and go ahead and set it up, and then we got to get them there. So yeah, I kind of feel a little stuck now that Hannah came to me yesterday and she's like, I don't want to do it anymore. So yeah, I'm feeling a little stuck. But again, you and I are not God, and I'm not going to get this perfect. You won't get this perfect. We just meet our teenagers where they are. Listen well. Love them as best as you can. We got to make the best, most well-informed decisions possible given what we already know and the resources that we have. And sometimes I find myself beating myself up because I said the wrong thing. And it's like I realized it later, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And sometimes I can feel a little sorry that we don't have all these resources available that I see other families have. But I'm doing the best that we can with what we have. And I just have to keep taking those insecurities back to God and believing and trusting and knowing that I actually have the right resources that God's given me. So then it's like a circle, like a hamster on a wheel. There I go with my thoughts, round and around. So that's I guess I just gave you a little insight into my thought process there a little bit, and how that does that in my relationship with God, like, yeah, depression is common in grief, friends. Okay, we just got to breathe deeply, try to take care of ourselves as best as we can along the way. Yeah, with our teenagers too, because we're walking this thing together, we are. So, well, friends, I better stop there, end there. It was really good to visit with you today. Be well today, friends, and I will see you on my next video.